What's up everyone, welcome back to Just Finish Coding. This is part 2 of our full Python game development course with Pygame, so let's get coding.
Just finished coding.
Now quick interjection here, if you do not have Pygame installed on your computer, then please check out part 1 of the series where I teach you to install it, whether it's in idle or with PyCharm. Now if you have Pygame installed already, then you could stick around right here and we will be continuing with our code. As you can see in the first video, I just added a bunch of import statements, and once you copy this, you'll be good to go. I'd also like to mention that all the files, including the art, will be linked in the description below. So please go through the Google Drive file, which is as an attachment, and download all the necessary art. So once you're done with that, you have these couple of import statements, and right after this, we need to initialize our Pygame module and all of the Pygame screens. So to do that, to initialize all the modules and functions and classes within Pygame, you just need to type in one line of code, and that is pygame.init. And this will initialize all the modules within Pygame. Now, as you can see right here, my Pygame module is now being used, and if you run this, you should not be getting any errors. Now, every single time I do this, I would have to type in pygame.something, pygame.something, and as far as I'm concerned, that's just wasting my time right there, typing in a pretty long word. Although this technique is used generally with, like really long modules, I prefer to use it with Pygame too. So what I'm going to do now is to say import Pygame and add in an as p, okay? And right here, I can just replace all my instances of Pygame with p, and this would work out just the same way. Now this would just help me save a lot of time, and you really don't have to do this if you want to. Just make sure you have Pygame written instead of all the p's which I'll be writing in this module in case you want to go ahead with Pygame. Okay, so once you're done with that, now you need to have the screen set up. And to do that, what you can do is to say win, and that's just short form for window that I'm using, is equal to p.display.set_mode, okay? And this is going to help you set up your screen. And what we need to type within this is our X resolution of the screen and Y resolution of the screen. So in most computers, that would probably be 180, 1280 by 720. But there are obviously exceptions. So what I'm going to do right now is to set up a smaller resolution. I'm just going to set up a 500 by 500 resolution. And this is up to you guys. So we will be using these resolutions throughout the video. So you will have to change your stuff according to that. So I'm going to type in 500, 500 inside another bracket within the first bracket. And the reason I'm doing that is because this expects your argument in as a tuple. Now I will be using these two values later on to show that my sprite doesn't go out of the screen. So what I'm going to do is to set up two more variables, okay? And these are going to be for the resolution of the screen. And the first variable is going to be called xval, and the second variable is going to be called yval. So my xval is going to be 500, which is also going to be my yval. Okay, but keep in mind this I'm just using for simplicity's sake for now. You can just have this 500, 500 written down and it wouldn't make much difference. But later on, these values will come in pretty helpful. So let me just retype this as xval and this one as yval, and we're good to go. Alright, so the next step would be, and if you run it right now, I'll actually do it. I'll save it and then run. Now you can see we will have a window that will pop up, and this may take a bit of time depending on how slow or fast your computer is. So I'm just going to wait until it's done. So as you can see, when I run it, the window momentarily pops up right there, and that was our screen. Now obviously once the process ends, this is going to be terminated, so the window will close down automatically. But I guess you saw the window, and that's what this whole thing is going to do, okay? So now if you really look closely within the window, we had this thing right on top which said Pygame window as a heading, and I don't really like that. So what I'm going to do is to say p.display.set_caption, okay? and this is going to set up the title of our entire window. And you have to put this as a string value, and the value I'm going to pass in is going to be called Space Invaders. Now if you want to call your game something else, please go ahead and do so. That's completely up to you. So now when you run the code, you should see right at the top that Space Invaders is written. But now let's get into some of the more exciting stuff, like getting in our costumes and moving the sprite around. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is to import our sprite. Now all the files, like I mentioned, are linked in the Google Drive attachment in the description, but when you are downloading them, make sure you have all of them on the same file as your project. By the same file, in this case I mean the same folder. So as you can see right here within this Pygame series folder which I have, all of my art and all the sound effects and all the Python files are right here. Now you could have, I guess, folders within this folder, and that should not make a difference. But I would recommend, as of now, just keep everything within the same project. Alright, so now I have this picture right here of the spaceship, which is, I believe, starfighter.png. So what I'm going to do right now is to say, let's call this, I'm going to call it some image. Let's call it Starfighter. Okay, that's the variable. Okay, or actually let's call it Starfighter underscore image. Okay, and this is going to be equals to p.image, okay, dot load. Okay, and right after this, I'm going to pass in the string value of that particular image, the name of the image. So in this case, it's going to be starfighter.png. And once you do this, your image is going to be stored under this variable, which is Starfighter image. Now, you still have it just as an image, so it's not going to show anywhere or anything like that. And this file is actually pretty gigantic. I don't remember what the original resolution was. I do have to check that. But it's a pretty large file, and it's definitely not going to fit within this resolution pretty well. So what I can do is to resize this image and make it of a little more preferable resolution. So here's what I can do. First, I'm going to say starfighter underscore image, okay, is equals to p.transform dot scale, and after this I could type in the image, which is going to be starfighter image, and you could put this without a tuple, so starfighter image. And after this I'm going to put in a comma and then pass in the values of how I'm scaling it down or up. So for this, I'm going to choose in the X resolution of the starfighter. Okay, and I'm going to have two variables which do that. One is going to be called starfighter width, and one is going to be called starfighter height. And both of them, once again, are going to be 100. So starfighter height, and this is also going to be 100. So now once you have set these two up, now we can just type in the value inside that. So I'm going to type in starfighter width, comma, starfighter height. And once again, this is passed in as a tuple, so make sure you do have it as a tuple and not as 3 different parameters, because this takes in only 2 parameters. Okay, perfect. Now once you're done with this, now we can get into the loading of the background of this game. Okay, so the background is going to be, I'm going to put this under the variable background. And the reason I have this stored up as like image, width and height is because we'll have a class for the starfighter a little bit later. So this will just make it a little bit easier then. Okay, so I'm going to type in background equal to pygame.image.load. Okay, once again. And this image is going to be called space.png. So space.png, perfect. Now the background once again needs to be scaled down, and the background, since it's going to occupy the entire width and height of the screen, it needs to be scaled down to that particular resolution of the screen. So for the resolution of the background, I'm just going to say background equal p.transform.scale, and this is going to be background comma xval comma yval, and this probably makes sense to you, so I'm not going to explain this. Perfect. Now once you're done with this, now let's get into actually loading in our player image and also our background. So let's get right into that now. So what I'm going to do now is to enter in a simple main loop. Okay, so I'm going to comment this out as the main loop, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a variable called run. Run is going to be false at the beginning, and we're going to say while run. Okay, Actually, sorry, run is going to be true. If I set it to false, this thing is never going to execute. So run equal true while run. And here I'm going to type in for event, okay, in Pygame, or in this case just p dot event dot get, okay, and this is going to return a whole set of events which are active, okay, and the event that we're going to be looking for is going to be called event dot type equal pygame dot quit, and that's in capital letters, okay. So once you have this is going to be our event type, and I don't think there are any any, what do I call it, any parentheses, and equal, not just equal, okay. So in case this is the case, it means that the user has pressed in like the close button on the window. So what we're going to do is to say run equal false, okay, and you could optionally type in like this quit if you want to, okay, which will quit your code, but I'm not going to do that. So once you're done with this, you should be able to close the Pygame window whenever you want to. So now when we run the program, okay, now we can see that the window always shows up, and when we close it, it exits. Perfect. So now let's get into drawing the sprite. I've been talking about this all the while. So what I can do right now is to just say win.blit, okay, and what I'm going to blit into my screen, and this is to draw stuff, okay. And what I'm going to blit is the image, okay, and in this case, the first image I'm going to blit down is our background. So I'm going to say background, okay, and then after this, we need to type in the parameters of where we are going to blit the background. So in my case, I'm going to blit the background in the top left of the screen. So I'm just going to type in 0, 0, okay. We will get into making a lot of changes to this later on, but just follow me for now. So after you've blitted the background, I'm going to blit the player. So I'm going to say win.blit, and this is going to be for this time the player. So starfighter underscore image, and after this, I'm going to type in the coordinates of the starfighter image, and let's just say I'm going to type this in as 100, 200. Okay, let's just see where this goes. Now this alone would not have any effect. So what Pygame is going to do is to constantly draw images on top of each other. And this would enable it to draw images, but we haven't given it a command to update the screen and show it to the user just as yet. So to do that, what we can do is to say pygame, or rather p.display.update. That's what I think it is. Yeah, perfect. So now when we run this code, now we can see that we have our spaceship right inside our background, which is already pretty cool. Now there's still a lot more work to do. We need to move this spaceship right here. We need to enable it to move around and all of that. But still, this is some progress, and I'm going to leave the video in right here. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.